So welcome, welcome. I am calling in right now from Malaysia, as I said, from my home. I just put my kids to sleep. It's 10 p.m. here. So for those who are joining, a little bit of maybe background. I've decided to start honest conversation series because I'd like to expose people who follow me to a little more awesome and inspiring people who inspire me, from whom I have learned, and also to have some conversations so that it's not just me talking, not just me sharing my thoughts and ideas. So we started talking with my first guest, and it just turned out to be such an interesting conversation, and the questions I was asking were a little unexpected for me. So I decided that I guess the best thing is to call it honest conversations. So today I'm going to meet up with Gil. So who's Gil? He's a friend. He is a person I know through work. So I know Gil, as I said, through work. We got acquainted through work, and actually we were thrown together through work quite a few times before I started considering you a friend. And as I shared in my post, the thing that impressed me the most about Gil, apart your amazing abilities to run masterminds and any kind of networking events, but apart from that obvious professional side, is your faith in humans. Because I think you look at the whole world and everyone that you meet with so much love and faith that it's not a very common thing. Like, I've not seen you frown or give a hard time to someone like this. You know, I just don't like you for no reason. So that was amazing. And of course, the experience you had with my good friend at the last event a year ago, when she was giving you the hardest time, being sarcastic and introverted, and you just wouldn't give up. You're just like, I know there is so much in you, and how she opened up. So, yeah, that was impressive. I normally ask people the questions about what they're the best at, and you are obviously the best at making connections and networking. But I also have like a little bit of selfish approach to that, because I like to look at everything through your own experience. Why do you do it? What do you learn about yourself through your work? So that's why I'll ask, first thing is, how did you become a master in networking and in connecting and in loving people?
So, you know, the answer actually has two parts to it. First of all, I'm still not a master in it in my eyes, because in my eyes, I'm constantly looking for outstanding people in the world, and I'm able to identify masters around the world. I'm like, wow, I need to learn how to do that. That would really help me raise my networking mastery. But to get to where I got today took a lot of sweat, a lot of pain, a lot of, am I allowed to say fuck ups on Instagram, or is that going to be beeped out? Good.
No,
so
it's casual, don't worry.
I know, I'm not just kidding. So it took a lot of painful moments of messing things up when it comes to trying to talk to a woman somewhere, or it comes to trying to talk to someone about business, or trying to attract investors. And because myself, as a born introvert, and I've always been an immigrant in my life, English being my third language, which I only picked up through casual conversations. I never really learned English in school. Networking was always a challenge for me, always, my whole life, until really my mid-20s, when I realized that my life was not really going anywhere. I was just not happy with my job, and not happy with my friends, and didn't have a girlfriend, and really wanted to have sex, and wanted to make more money. And I had all these, like, I had all these things that were like, you know, it was enough. And that was my kind of turning point, where I was like, I'll try anything. Like, really, I was just, okay, I'm letting go of everything. I'm trying to kind of, let's see what I'm not afraid of. And I started stepping out of my boundaries. I started going to speed dating events and learning how to talk to women. And with speed dating was interesting. So if you messed up with the first 5 women, it's okay. You got another 10 women coming up. But it helped me overcome my fears of the first 5 minutes of talking to a woman, which is the craziest fear most men have. And then in order to get over talking to average people, I used to go to expos, like a big expo, like every week for a long time. Like any expo, the car expo, and I don't really like cars, the marketing expo, the gift expo, just to learn how to start a conversation, how to end a conversation, how to engage someone so that they're interested in you, and how do you take networking to a point where you're able to make a deal with someone, you're able to agree to, let's meet again, okay, you'll buy something from me, I'll buy something from you. You know, networking needs to lead somewhere at one stage, or else it's just a lot of blah blah. It needs to lead to, let's have a dinner together, let's mastermind, let's mentor each other. Networking for the sake of networking is just a lot of waste of time and energy. Networking has to have a purpose, a mission. And I got to a stage in my life where I learned that networking is the best way for me to learn. Because I was never really good in school, so networking just became everybody's a teacher.
So you take networking as a necessity, as a tool, as something to grow and to maybe grow your business and whatever you do, mission. I know business might sound a little too practical, but I mean, we are all in some kind of business. Or is it something for the soul as well, for you?
So for me, it's completely for the soul. I don't think that networking is life or business. For me, networking is this ability to flourish and to shine. When I network with great people, I'm able to serve them. I'm able to learn. I'm even though I'm an introvert, who only my wife will still see me like, hey, I saw that, you're like a little shy there. She catches me in these funny moments. But networking for me has allowed me to reprogram the introvert that people told me I am. Like there's this stigma of what an introvert is like, and what does it mean to be shy? What does it mean to be an introvert? And there's this, like, society painted this picture of what I could potentially be like because all these other people are like. And networking for me is this ability to exchange energy with people. It's this amazing ability to build relationships with anyone, anywhere.
So there are two aspects to that conversation. One of them is, of course, the technical side. You know, how do you do that? What's like, because you know a lot of practical skills for that. But I want to talk about something a little bit different, because when I did a post about this interview, I gave it my spin, obviously, because through my experience. And the conversation onto the post was so interesting that I was actually thinking this morning of making a follow-up post, because I noticed very interesting comments, and people were commenting to each other as well. And it's not very common for my posts. Usually people are just like very nice and agree with me. But here they were saying, because I asked, do you give people another chance? And as I was writing this post, I realized, like, literally every person, every important person in my life, except my parents or my children, I actually have had a situation where I would have met them and not paid attention or was not interested enough to talk, to the point that it took me 3 meetings with Vision in 3 countries over a period of more than a year before I even remembered his name. The same with that common friend that we were talking about. I actually became friends with her through another friend. One of the most important people in my business right now, same story. So I realized as I was writing this post that sometimes I don't give a chance to a person, and then that person turns around and becomes one of the closest people in my life, and the most important people in my life. So, and the conversation was interesting because people said that, you know, why waste time on people with whom you don't click? Follow your intuition. You know, there are toxic people in your life. And I was thinking about that in my world, in the world of personal growth and transformation, we have this whole story about, you know, somebody being toxic for you, or somebody, you know, choose your environment. And I understand that to some degree, but to another degree, I also think that it gives us this excuse to be disinterested, to fail a connection. It's like, oh no, it's my gut feeling. It's not me not putting, you know, myself in there, not me not trying, or not me, you know, failing. It's just my intuition is telling me so. So what do you think about that?
It's such a powerful question you're asking me, and I think I'd love to have a few hours to talk to you about the power of disconnecting with people, because disconnecting with people is as important as making connections. Learning who to disconnect with. And disconnection in my world comes at a few different levels. People think disconnecting, you're not my friend anymore, I never want to see you again, bye-bye. But actually, disconnection could also mean, where does this person currently sit within your network? We all have these rings of energy around us. The vibrations that we send out could reach millions if we're strong enough. But in most people's worlds, it actually reaches about 120, 150 people. That's our energy, the network that most people manage around them, really. So sometimes having a toxic person around you could come in two different ways. One, in some of my cases, a toxic person in my life maybe was there to teach me patience, to teach me understanding, to teach me an ability to hustle and try to get in there, because they're actually not toxic. It's just a mask on the outside to protect their amazing internal ability to flourish and connect. So I've had to learn all these skills to really see past the mask that most people wear. And some people would wear a toxic mask because they've been hurt in the past. Someone has given them pain in a relationship, whether it was a loved one or whether it was business. In my case, personally, in my life, I try to look through people's toxic masks sometimes, because they're not necessarily toxic, they just could be protective. If we look at nature, a lot of animals in nature and insects in nature have toxicity on the outside. So if you touch them, they would actually, like hurt you. But actually, it's a very cute little animal. It's something very, very cute, Look at the hedgehog. He's got pins on its body. But the hedgehog is such a cute little thing to, it doesn't have fur, but it's got needles. So for me, humans are sometimes like a hedgehog. You have to just be calm next to them and be patient next to them to go through that. But in other cases, people are toxic because maybe they want something from you without wanting to serve. They're not interested in abundance in the world. They're more about scarcity and I need to get your energy, please give me investments. And such people sometimes are very pessimistic. And some of them maybe are a little bit negative in life, and they're not supportive of your dreams. They're not supportive of your big thinking and big mindset. So such people who know better and who choose to affect others around them in a negative way, I think such people, we should push them out into our outer network. And I can openly say that I've been through stages in my life where I pushed some of my family members to outer networks because they didn't want me to be the way I was. They wanted me to be more like my brother, go get a stable job, settle down somewhere, stop traveling so much. And it's the same thing with people who at one stage I called my best friends, that they were people in the corporate world. They had stable jobs, they had a lot of money, but they wanted to party and drink. They weren't the kind of friends I wanted to have around me that supported my creative mindset and my entrepreneurial spirit. So I think with toxic people, this is really important to always ask yourself, what are my networking priorities now? Who do I need in my network right now that would help me move forward, flourish, shine, and be happy for the world?
So, I'd like to talk about that a little more, because I'm wondering, who are we to deem someone toxic? Because I understand that we have to choose who we spend time with, and just connecting or just being open to a person versus spending your energy and time with that person are not exactly the same thing. So that whole concept of someone being toxic, how true is that, and how much of that is actually the person being truly toxic, or our perception of that person? And why do we call someone toxic and someone no? Because for me, I'm starting to doubt that whole concept, aren't we a little dramatic with that? Like, oh, you're toxic, I want to cut you out. Why don't we just let people be and regulate how it affects us? It's like when you go to a buffet dinner, you don't need to eat everything. If you have allergy to something, just don't take it.
I love that. So first of all, I need to congratulate you because you're taking this discussion into a direction that most people are afraid to take it. So it's really, really, this is important for everyone to listen to. And I hope that, millions of people get to listen to this because what you just said is very profound. And I believe that, as I mentioned, that most people are not truly toxic because they mean to be. Maybe they're toxic in your eyes in that specific moment based on how your day was, who else you met that day, what's going on in your ecosystem. There is so many aspects to what could make me feel that this person is toxic that has nothing to do with them. Because in most cases, it's actually us looking in the mirror. I really believe that most networking, if we are open, they're open. If we think they're toxic, we're toxic. If they're full of abundance, we're probably full of abundance. And usually it's that way, which is why I love connecting with people, because I want people to love connecting with me, which is why I love serving people, because it's nice to find people that want to serve me. It's beautiful. So I completely agree with you that in most cases, it is a lot of drama, and it keeps people in a position where they feel sheltered and they feel disconnected from the world. And it actually creates a lot of loneliness in the world. And many, many people out there are lonely. They're lonely in relationships, they're lonely in love, they're lonely even at work. And if you look at a couple of simple examples, look at many nightclubs. You go, many men and women, single people go to a bar today to try to meet people. But many people, specifically nice women who are sitting at the bar, are there to meet men, but they still act all like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to, like, they're being so picky. Instead of just having ladies, have a 2 or 3 minute conversation with every single man that approaches you. Don't judge them based on their looks. Don't judge them based on what they say. Give them 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Don't say, hey, okay, you got 3 minutes, let's go. Give them 3 minutes to try. That's why most speed dating in the world is 5 minutes, because in 5 minutes, you could really get to know another human being. And the same thing goes in the business world. Many times someone suggests something to us, they try maybe to talk to us about their business, but we feel like they're pitching to us, which is why a lot of people don't like networking events, because they think that everyone is selling something to me. But they're not selling you anything. They just don't know how to network so well. They don't know how to connect. All they're doing is they're like, hey, I'm very passionate about my job. If I share my passion with you, maybe you'll be interested in talking to me. That's all they're trying to do. People are just trying to connect, and other people think, oh, this is a toxic person. They just want to sell me their products. No, they don't. They're trying to build rapport, but they never read my book, so they don't know.
So tell me, can you connect with almost anyone, or have there been cases where, despite your best efforts and clearest or purest intentions, you would have been nastily rejected?
So I've been rejected more than most people I've ever met in my life. That's for certain. I would not be who I am today if I was not rejected so many times that at one stage it stopped hurting, because rejection actually should not hurt that much. It's the same thing as failure in business. I failed a lot of times in business, but I call them successful failures, because after a while, it's not really a failure. So having a woman reject you is not just that bad. It's just like, okay, let me try another one. It's like her loss, why not? Like at one stage it wasn't bad, which is why I support speed dating companies. These days...
Well, in business, rejection might also mean, loss of a deal, and that's
of course. It's all about a deal. Even in a relationship, people getting married, you agree on something. There's a deal there. I'm constantly being rejected, but maybe I don't even notice it anymore, because maybe people are going into their phone And that's for them, me not wanting, like they're saying to me, I don't want to talk to you anymore. People looking at their watch a lot. You know, people, I'm so sensitive to people's nonverbal communication that I will change the conversation. I will move to someone else. I will give my attention to the next person in the circle so that I don't need to feel rejected. Why feel rejected? It's okay to move on to the next thing. They don't mean to reject me. Maybe something is going on with their family right now at home that they really need to focus on their phone. Maybe they're really rushed somewhere and they don't mean to disrespect me and they don't want to cut my conversation. So why feel rejected? I feel it quite easy these days to connect with anyone because I'm coming in with a pure heart of, can I learn from you? Can I somehow make a difference in your life? And even recently here in Bali, I networked with someone who I didn't know who he was, but within the 20 minutes, I found out he's a king, an actual king of Bali, one of the kings here. And I'm like, wow, okay, the king just gave me his WhatsApp number. That's pretty cool, actually. And I had no idea who he was. And now, since then, on a daily basis, I'm in WhatsApp communication with a king, and I'm trying to make a difference in his life. Not because I want something from him, it's because I think he's a pure-hearted person who really needs some help right now. So I love that I can make a difference in his life.
You know, I find, because you just mentioned the king, and I suddenly thought that there is a hierarchy in this networking. There are people who are more interesting, naturally more interesting to other people. And you and I would have experienced that, let's say, when we speak somewhere and, you know, you get off stage and you get extra attention, and that's hard. And then there are also, you know, people who are trying hard, but they may be, you know, not as noticeable. So do you have any comments about this hierarchy, how fair it is, and what do you do with that? Like, do you just go with your gut? Do you still follow people who are important to you?
The life hack is simple.
Yeah.
Develop a curious mindset.
Yeah.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Start being curious in other people, and other people will be curious in you. It's as simple as that. And I learned that with women, because in my early 20s, when I started with like online dating, I was able to be curious, because with online dating, you have a woman's profile there. So you can actually read about her to decide, do I want to go on a date with her or not? And then what I did is I did some more research, and I actually went on, back then it wasn't Google, it was something else. And I did top 10 questions to ask a woman. And it was really interesting. There was some really good questions to ask women. And then in my dates, I used to spend most of the day just asking women questions. And I learned that by the end of the date, I didn't say almost anything. And they were completely in love with me. Like, this date was the best date they've ever had. And for me, that was fun, because that meant developing a curious mindset is learning how to ask people questions so they get to speak. And I get to learn more about them. Now, once I get to learn more about them, I can choose, is this person now interesting for me, really? Or is this person not interesting for me, really, right now? And then it's up to you, because when you're showing curiosity, people are interested in you. Like, where are you from? It's almost like reciprocity. If you offer someone to help, in most cases, they'll offer to help you. If you compliment someone, in most cases, they'll compliment you back. That's human nature. We do it because we've been accustomed to do it.
I really like this advice, and I think I'm not the only one, because people are already quoting you. Develop a curious mindset. I know in my case, when I do interviews occasionally for work in Russian, that's what helps me to go through that. Because as long as you're still curious, because I've had interviews with people who are very established speakers and authors with sometimes views which I disagree with, but I'm not arguing with people on my interviews, because that's not the point. So I've realized that the curious mindset helps you sometimes see the point of a person with whom you completely disagree. I've had such interesting twists in my interviews, just because I was, rather than trying to convince someone, I was just trying to understand, why are you saying that? Why are you feeling that?
The comment on what you just said, which is so beautiful, because many people find themselves in an awkward situation where they don't know how to further and engage someone that is maybe a very interesting person. So maybe someone of a very high level status, or someone who just got off the stage, a billionaire is sitting in front of you and you're not sure how to engage them. Building a curious mindset, even though if you disagree with this person or you're not really like them, but you still respect them, developing this curious mindset would allow you to actually build rapport with someone. Because sometimes we will actually find best friends and we will find incredible business partners in someone that is completely opposite of us. But by being curious and patient just a little bit more, sometimes we'll see like, wow, that is the person I've been looking for such a long time, because they complement me.
So this actually is another point in the camp of those who give people another chance. Because I had this question before this interview: would you give a person another chance to stick to your initial impression? But you know, Gil, I wanted to ask another question. So we're talking about rejection. How do you reject people? And when do you decide to do that?
It's
because
a very...
I know there are situations where you're like, I am out of this conversation. How do you do that?
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, please, let's like be honest here. There's no need to reject a human being. There's no need to reject a human being. I believe in karma. I reject people, I'll be rejected. It's okay to create distance between you and another human being. It's okay to respectfully end a conversation with another human being. If you're in an event and someone is talking to you for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, 5 minutes is more than enough time to give another human being that you've just met. No need for more. After, let's just say 3 to 5 minutes, if you see that the conversation is not going somewhere that's inspiring to you, it's what you want to talk about this evening, maybe it's a Saturday evening and you don't want to talk business right now. What you could do is not reject the person, but you could say, well, John, it sounds like you're working on something very exciting for you. I'm actually here this evening hoping to connect with some people that are passionate about social enterprises. Maybe you know someone who like that in this in the event this night. But either way, it was really good to connect with you. If you do meet someone like that this evening, I would love to be introduced to them. Hey, listen, have a great evening, and maybe we'll see you later on tonight. I'm not rejecting him. I'm ending the conversation peacefully, and even telling him who it is that I'm looking for, and even telling him if he meets this person to connect me with that person again. So, and I know that that might seem artificial or not easy for some people to do. It wasn't easy for me to do, but it's okay to create disconnections. If someone in your friends maybe is always negative and, you know, not toxic, but maybe pessimistic, and you don't want to see them, it's okay to tell them, hey, you know, like, Masha, like, you know, I'm really being focused on my project right now, and I don't really have time this week to talk to you, but how about you write me a little message or leave me a short voice message, and I'll try to find a time this week to come back to you. If not, let's make sure to meet up in the next couple of weeks. That's it. So that might sound harsh to some of you. No, this is my best friend, blah, blah, blah. Well, if it's your best friend, it's up to you if you want to spend more and more time being their therapist instead of being a friend. And sometimes creating distance is what that friend needs. They don't need you to be a therapist. They need you to be a friend. And sometimes being a friend is saying something that is difficult and getting them to solve their own problems. That's at least my opinion. Maybe not everyone agrees with me, but I think the idea of rejection is very, very harsh and very kind of, like the doors are closed. The doors are not closed. That's not the door I'm looking at right now, ladies and gentlemen. You know, like, your energy goes somewhere else for a little while. That's all.
So with friends, it's an interesting situation because I've just recently had a friend who had a very serious life situation and, well, private life situation, and actually decided consciously at my 42 with business and children and everything to spend a day with her and just, you know, just to be there. I was of no help at all, obviously, but I was there. So where do you draw that line? Because I agree with you in one aspect with some people about creating space. On the other hand, there are people who sometimes need help and need support and need just unconditional, I'm just here for you, even if you're going through crap. How do you draw that line? Because I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. It's not all black and white. And another maybe facet to that is that what if that friend has a difficult conversation which has something to do with you? Like, do you engage in that kind of conversation when you understand that it maybe is for the friend's benefit, not for your own, but it is a friend, you do have some level of emotional responsibility for the person?
I think that's a very big question. And, like one of your audience here, Mia, even said that she said this to her friend got upset. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not an expert in friendship. I don't think anyone truly is. I'm not a therapist. And
yes.
I could tell you that, I have, someone who's been actually my oldest friend in the world. He's a guy that was born a month before me. And since when I was born, he was my neighbor until I left Israel at the age of 10. So the first 10 years of our life, we lived next to each other every day. We saw each other every day. We went to school. And even when I left the country, we found ways to staying in touch. But to me, he's someone who is very much stuck in life. He's very, very sad. He feels very limited by life. He feels very... there are no options. This is life. I live in this box. And on many, many occasions, I offered him support. I met up with him, and I constantly meet up with him when I visit Israel. But I've learned that there's just that much that I can do to throw him a lifeline. If he does not grab onto the lifeline and takes charge of his own life, then all he's doing is he wants my attention, he wants my energy, and that's okay. But when I create distance a little bit and I don't answer him for a little bit of time, then I find that sometimes his energy changes. And I can even give you an honest example with my mom, that, mothers, what is our responsibility to our mothers, ladies and gentlemen? And again, please, I'm not an expert in this, but I've been very open with my mom about this. When I created space between myself and my mom because she wanted a lot of attention from the kids. She wanted to live her life through us. And I created some space. Suddenly my mom had her own life. Suddenly she had time to find a boyfriend. Suddenly she has time to travel the world, and she's happy in her own life. In many, many cases, people that we love, we need to it sounds bad, but it's like tough love sometimes. And I think that sometimes in the right situations, we need to trust our own gut. What does our gut tell us? Not our mind, not our heart. What does our gut feeling tell us? Should we continue to try to save this person because that's all they want us to be? They want us to be there for them? Or should we create some space? And they're a human being. They'll find the right book. They'll find the right mentor. They'll find their slope that will take them down. Because I really believe that in order to step up and break through moments in life, we need to go through tough times. I went through 2 this close to bankruptcy in my life to truly understand what is financial freedom, and can I be happy with $20 a week? Yes, I can. I found complete happiness in these down times. So I believe that if I went through that, maybe other people do need to go through a little bit of down, a little bit of painful in order to come back up. But it's just in my situations. It's very different for everyone else, of course.
But Gil, when you go through hard times, I understand the main idea is that if it is a one-off thing, it's okay. But if it's a pattern, if that's their lifestyle, if that's their choice, then obviously we can't save a person, no matter how close or dear that person is. But when you go through hard times, you do rely on support of the closest people in your life, don't you? Or are you so self-sufficient that it is completely your own journey?
So I have a different strategy to that. when I go through difficult times in life, I don't only reach to the closest people in my life. I reach to people who have the fucking answers. What the fuck, ladies and gentlemen? Why only reach to your friends and parents? Who says your best friend has the answers? Your best friend and your parent are not your therapist. They do not have the answers. Find your mentors. Create mentors in your life. Go to the right event with the right person who has the answer. You're going through a difficult time. You know what I do when I have a difficult time in anything in my life? I will listen to books about it. I love Blinkist, books in 15 minutes. And I'll even speed it up so I can listen to a whole book in less than 10 minutes. So they're talking very, very quickly like I do sometimes. And I'll listen to 20 books about the situation. And then I'll talk to 3-4 people who I know have been in such a situation before. And then I'll get my answers, and then I'll have to choose myself. No one is going to give you answers. People can only give you some nice, friendly advice. People can share what they have done. You got to take your own chances in life. You got to make your own choices in life. And I personally, in my opinion, in my life, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a formula for all of you. This is a formula for me that's worked out only for the last 40 years. Maybe in an extra 100, I'll learn something new, I'm sure. But, you know, for now, I believe that when we have a challenge in life, go to people who have the fucking answers. Don't just go to people who you call your friends.
Yeah. We talked about rejection. We talked about like that humans don't need to be rejected, but still that we choose who we communicate with. Tell me, so going back to this 1 year ago and to that story that I referred to in my post, why did you keep bugging my friend, trying to open her up and to engage her in that whole conversation, just for everybody's benefit? You know, we had this mastermind event. It was a rather small event. It wasn't a lot of people, but and people were quite diverse, and in some instances I thought completely incompatible. But the interesting thing about that particular event was that at the end of it, we were all so open to each other and so close with each other and so trusting that it was absolutely remarkable. People changed in front of our own eyes. They changed just because they opened up to each other. And I think that you, Gil, were definitely an example, and you were the person who started this whole thing. So what was it? Why did you not give up on my friend and kept bugging her and pulling her out of her whatever shell she was in?
There is a short answer and a long answer. The short answer, I wish someone did that to me when I needed it. I really, really wish all of those times and all of those events that I went to, that I stood in the corner and I sat down, I wish that someone would have done that for me. Because I remember going home feeling like, I didn't talk to anyone tonight. I should have. I remember all those situations where no one came to me. But also I remember those few situations in life where there was that hero that walked up to me, or she walked up to me and engaged me in conversation. And that made all the difference in the world. That person was my hero. That person changed my whole life. And that happened to me enough times in life to understand that I must always be the hero if I can. And I can. And it's the same thing like in an event. If you go to events, why not act like a host, even though you're not the host? Why not offer people a drink? Why not offer the host to help them? I show up at events all the time, and I will always try to be a co-host. Even at the Mind Valley event, that was not my event. I was just a participant. I paid like all the other guests to come in and get breakthroughs and learn something new. But as knowing who I am by now, the introvert immigrant that had to step out of his own shell, becoming a co-host of that event, I knew I could make a difference because I knew I had value to offer. And with your special friend, who's an absolutely amazing, brilliant woman, I think the longer answer would be that, you know, I've developed a sense, a fifth sense, whatever that sense is with me, that I trust my gut, and I developed this sense of feeling people and recognizing an outstanding human being, and also, you know, knowing that if my gut needed a second opinion, she was your close friend. And that was a good enough second opinion to know that this is an outstanding person. And let's include them in, because we'll all get value if she's included. So I did it for I did it for the benefit of the collective. Not just, I knew it would benefit her, but I knew it would actually benefit the collective that we were that week.
I really love what you said, you know, that you wish there was a hero in the moments when you needed that, because and I guess this is the theme that has been in my mind, but this idea of not giving up on people, especially if your gut tells you that this person is an amazing person. So for people who are listening in, Gil has been at a few of our events, and as I said, your specialty is of course networking and connecting people, and masterminds is actually also, Gil is amazing.
I love that you were able to hear some of what I said today, and I'm so grateful for you asking me such awesome, really open conversation kind of questions. So thank you for that.